Hey guys, welcome to the latest episode of Beyond the Tape, a podcast that focuses on the Australian mountain bike industry and people doing rad things in it. In this episode, we are back with one of our old favourites, the mothership, Giant Motherwell, one of the most stylish mountain bikers ever to hail out of Australia. He's currently in New Zealand and he's refocused his ambitions a little bit. Before we get into the podcast, let's thank some supporters and people that help keep this podcast going. This episode is sponsored and brought to you by the Trek Session. The Trek Session is the benchmark of downhill mountain bikes, and it is back with this new look. There's a whole lot of new speed to go with it too, thanks to its high pivot design. Basically, it's got more of a rearward axle path, but still keeps that APP braking pivot out the back. So basically, you're going to get almost no pedal feedback and amazing braking performance as well. Fun fact that for 2021, it was actually the most winningest race bike of that season. So even though they don't have every other rider under the sun like other brands, they still managed to pull out a bunch of wins, proving that this bike is super fast. Hopefully, I'll be able to get one day because damn, they look sexy and man, I need all the help I can get to go fast. This episode is also brought to you by Helens, the TTX M2 coil. Rolls right off the tongue. It is one of my favorite shocks that I've ever ridden and it looks damn sexy with all those gold and blue bits. The TTX coil offers twin tube technology that provides you with supreme damping. And it is so easy to set up too. There's like 5 clicks of rebound. Super simple. You just get it in the right spot. Being a coil, you set and forget and just ride your bike. Maybe I'll chuck one of those on the session. While I'm riding, I often like to listen to headphones and music. But it can often be dangerous. As much as I love noise cancelling and just zoning the hell out, riding on the roads, riding on the trails, not being able to hear what's around you is pretty bad. That's where the Aftershokz headphones come in from FE Sports. Their bone conduction technology allows you to listen to everything that's around you while also having your favorite beats playing while riding. With simple on-off features, you can basically press a little button on the side and go back to hearing like normal. None of this active kind of listening in functions that amplify sound and sound all weird. These just work through your bones, produce amazing music when you need it, and turn them off. Sounds like normal. If you are anything like me, you're getting a bit of Maydena FOMO, hit up Tailored Trails. These guys offer the best one-off kind of tailored trails, tailored experience when you get down to Maydena, to Derby, to the whole east coast or west coast of Tasmania. They can support up to 18 people on completely custom tours for you and your mates to get around Tassie. So take all the stress out of planning and just go ride with Tailored Trails. The Abby Hag tool from Lead Out Sports is a piece of art. While it is good enough and pretty damn good to arrange your hanger, get everything working well, the precision and the colors on this thing are damn sexy. Man, tolerances on this thing are as tight as 0.0063 millimeters. So you know that your hanger is going to be dead straight. And man, this thing packs up real tight. So if you got one of those fancy toolboxes, it'll fit right in. Hit up Lead Out Sports and get one of those, do you? Frank offer some of the best mountain bike clothing around, especially when it comes to race kit. But I'm a huge fan of their Frank Tech Tee. It is the best for being able to go out to the pub after a ride without even having to change. It just looks casual, looks smart, but it's still super, super breathable and super comfortable to ride in. So head over to Frank and grab one of them. If I was to get one of those sessions, I'd be throwing on a frame skin. These guys are one of the pioneers when it came to frame protection, offering the first custom kits for bikes. I have one of these coming very soon for my Slash, and I can't wait to chuck it on. To keep my bike clean and shiny, Crush Shine by Harriet Buchanan is one of my favorite products. It's a silicone spray that you polish up your frame with, keep it shiny, super simple. It also prevents the mud from sticking. So if you're riding in wet areas and can't be rooted washing your bike, that's so damn good. and Fist Handwear. Those guys bring in the best gloves, but they also offer some damn good sexy socks. So make sure you head over there and check them out. Anyway, that's probably one of my longest intros ever, so let's get on with it. As per usual, grab a beer, grab water, grab a wine, and enjoy this episode with Jai Motherwell. All right, let's do it officially then. Jai Motherwell, welcome back to the podcast.
Thanks for having me, Darren. It's been fantastic.
It's good to have you back.
Stoked to be back, man. This is good. I can't believe you flew me all the way over to Adelaide just for this. This is insane.
I know, right?
You're really balling out now.
We're just doing it by Zoom. We're in different rooms.
Yeah. No, it's sick. Stoked, and seems like it's just podcast has still been going pretty strong, and I like building at again more and more every time we talk, which has been pretty sick. So you're pretty stoked on how things are going.
Yeah, man. Yeah, this year's been epic already, and we're only 4 months in, so we're about a third of the way through. So yeah, it's been growing good. It's been surprising.
Yeah, sick.
Lots of things have been happening in the background that have been surprising. So I'm stoked. Yeah,
sick. That's rad.
So
what kind of exciting things have been happening in the background?
Stuff I can't really talk about yet, but yeah.
Ooh, top secret. Ooh.
Just getting some recognition. That
sick.
I didn't think I'd get, which is pretty cool. And having people come up to me, which is weird. Still weird.
Yeah. That's sick.
A little bit of a humble brag, but I kind of don't like talking about it as much. But yeah, it's been pretty cool.
Do you have people come up to you and be like, "Hey, are you be on the tape?" Like,
is
that kind of how it goes?
Are you the podcast guy? It's the number one thing. I get. They hear me in like the shuttle line or something, and they're just like, "Are you the podcast guy?" And I'm like, "Yes, yeah." Because I try to be as humble as possible.
Yeah. No, that's me.
Myself. I'd ask you what you've been up to, but I think we need a whole podcast to talk about it. So that's why we're here, right?
Exactly. I don't know, wherever you want to start, really, I guess. But
let's talk about the new Spono. Well, it's not that new. Was it like 6 months or something like that? Probably a bit longer.
I guess it's coming into 12 months now.
Okay.
Kind of signed up with Polygon in winter last year, which was crazy. Like it kind of happened like sort of out of the blue in a way, I guess. Dave Musgrove out of Sydney. So he works for Bicycles Online and Polygon and everything. And he hit me up on Instagram because he saw that I wasn't going to be riding for Kona anymore, and asked if I'd be interested in riding for Polygon. And I was like, well, yeah, I'm happy to have a chat about it and sort of see where things go. And then, like, I guess so many people don't even realize that it sort of happens so often that things go cold and you don't hear anything for ages and you're not really sure if that's kind of just dropped off. And that was sort of like, we talked about it a bit, then didn't hear anything for a couple of months, and then it just kind of sparked back up again. And he was super keen and managed to put together like a bit of a deal for me and put that forward, and I was stoked on what was being offered. So I was like, yeah, sick, like sounds good. And jumped on board with them, and it's just been insane. Dealing directly with Dave has been really good. I'm able to like give my feedback on the bikes and all that sort of stuff. And it's, it's not really falling on deaf ears or like, they've got 1,000 riders or whatever that, they don't have time for you. It sort of feels a little bit more direct, which is great because like, the pros and cons that I've been able to relay back to Dave, he's able to relay over to Polygon, and then we're able to tweak some stuff and kind of go from there, which has been sick. And I don't know how much I can say at the moment about what's coming up, because there's definitely some stuff that's super top secret and we can't talk about. But they just launched the Polygon Enduro team, and they're now running like a prototype bike. So that's pretty cool. Something to kind of keep an eye out for. I feel like I can say that because the bike's being shared all over social media and stuff at the moment. Like, it's pretty obvious that it's a prototype that they're working on at the moment. And then I'm going to be working with Dave to test out a few things on something else over the next couple of months. So hopefully there's some cool stuff coming pretty soon, which is pretty rad. So yeah, I'm just stoked, just feeling more involved with the company and kind of like having my voice heard a little bit more has been like really refreshing and really stoked on it. So can't thank Dave enough. And it's insane. They've been so good to me.
I mean, for those who don't know, like Dave's an OG dirt jump lord, so he kind of understands like the free ride mentality and what you guys need as well. Like, has that been pretty evident in your dealings so far?
100%. Yeah, definitely. Apart from the fact that he's trying to push me onto the 29er, but I've definitely been pushing back on that one a little bit, but that's mainly just because of my size. Like, I'm a very small human being. So I've been kind of like, I don't know about that. Dave's like 6.5 foot, 7 foot tall. I don't know. But he's quite
at
tall.
Least 8 feet, at least.
Yeah. But other than that, like, yeah, Dave definitely understands like the whole free ride aspect pretty hard and has a really good appreciation for, I guess, like kind of what we do and, and keeping an eye on style and all of that kind of stuff as well, rather than just, like hucking some tricks or whatever and kind of coming away sketchy. Like, we've had the conversation that, he'd prefer to watch something simple done right and it's just like clean than watch someone doing huge bangers and kind of coming away sketchy every time. Like, it's just, just prefers it to be just like nice fluid riding, which has been cool. So that's been sick. Means that I don't really need to push myself and crash, and I can just keep doing flat spins and have fun. Keep doing the same thing over and over again.
World's first professional flat spinner.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I feel like once you learn them, they're just like, you really don't want to do anything else because they are the most insane feeling in the world. And we were actually playing MX vs ATV the other night, like last night with my housemates. And I was telling them, because I think we talked about this on one of the podcasts, like during the first lockdown, I had just learned how to flat spin kind of pretty sketchy before the first original COVID lockdown happened. And I was just playing MX vs ATV flat out. And I was like doing flat spins in the game in first person mode. And I said to my housemate, I'm like, this is exactly the same feeling as what it's like when you're doing it on a bike. Like the same like line of sight, the way that you turn and lean the bike with the joysticks is kind of the same motion you do with your body. And like after a couple of goes on the PlayStation, he was like, yes, sweet. Like, I've got it. And that, like, honestly, it sounds so stupid, but like that helped drill so much into me with like everything that needs to be done for like visualization and stuff like that of what the rotation is. But yeah, so I don't remember where I was going with that, but yeah, I was just talking about, teaching my mates how to flat spin by playing MX vs ATV.
What was it like? Because just after you signed, I think they had Masseri come on board, and I mean they've got Jaden and Wrigley on there as well, and they've got that whole race team now. But it's a very free ride orientated team.
Yeah, for sure. Which is really sick. And then so they've got the whole enduro team with now I'm going to forget their names. Who's it? Matt Stoddart. Trying to remember Brady Stone. He's a Kiwi from Nelson, so he's mates with one of my housemates who's also from Nelson as well. So like after speaking to my housemate, I'm super stoked that he got that deal because he sounds like he's a super humble, talented rider. Apparently he's very similar to Dan Booker. So he's just like, rides hard, but just kind of keeps to himself. And that's kind of it. Doesn't need to brag about anything. So seeing people like that getting hooked up is super sick. And then, so then they've got like the rest of us kind of guys, I guess, as ambassadors, like with me, Jaden and Wriggles, and just, I don't know, like I'm stoked that Dave was kind of able to pull all this sort of stuff together, but it just seems like it's been a really cool crew. Like Lewis Buchanan on the enduro team is it Lewis Buchanan? No, sorry. Dan
Wolf.
Yeah, I was thinking Big Bad Wolf. What's his Insta? Yeah. Dan Wolf as well. So that's been really cool. There's been talk about trying to get all of us together for a ride, sort of just group bonding session at some point. Don't really know when we're going to get the chance to do it. I think we were talking about trying to do something in Oz, but then I think the bubble shut up and we weren't really able to kind of get everyone together as much as we would have liked. And then there was talk about doing it in Whistler, but with my own travels, I'm pretty tight at the moment. But by the way, yeah, I'm stoked on the way that the teams kind of come together, and I don't know, it seems like it's a pretty cool, fun atmosphere. I don't know. I think it's going to be pretty sick for sure. I'm excited to see what's going to.
Do you reckon you've been
happen.
riding more because of that? Because it seems like you've been on the bike a fair bit. Or maybe it's just because I'm seeing more of the content.
Maybe. I don't know. Like, it's kind of hard for us here in winter, which I think we might have talked about last time. Like, once winter hits, it's like super short days and cold, miserable, freezing. And like last winter, I pretty well packed my bikes up and just went snowboarding and stuff and just kind of switched off bikes for the season. But then coming into summer this year, I think what's triggered me, probably like the part that's riding more is definitely more bike park. Last year, I spent most of my time like riding the mulch jump and riding dream track and that kind of stuff and working on tricks. But I think after my crash at Magazafest when I broke my collarbone, it definitely put me off a little bit having the crashes and hurting all the time. Because leading into Magazafest, like I was going so hard on the mulch jump, just trying to learn as many new tricks as I could so I could take some stuff to Magazafest or whatever, and just wanted to just learn trick after trick after trick. That was just my drive at the time. And then I think recovering from that crash, I was just like, I recovered really quick from it, but I was just over my body aching all the time and hurting. And that's not to say that I'm not going to go back down that path and do tricks and stuff again. But once I started riding the bike park a little bit more, I kind of got hooked on riding tech stuff again, which I haven't really had that drive since like juniors. And I feel like at the moment, I'm probably riding the quickest I've ever ridden. I always thought that like my junior days were like my peak and like I wasn't going to be that fast ever again. And after like kind of riding a lot more tech stuff in the bike park, I just got really excited about it. And they've got a race series here in Queenstown called the Vertigo Bikes Ride More series. And I was going to race it last year, but I don't know, things just got in the way and I just never got around to it. And then this year I was like, yeah, it'll be sick to like, jump back in and give it a crack. And I ended up getting second, and that was kind of what lit the fire for me. I think I was like, oh, okay, you have got the pace, so you might as well keep kind of going with it. So I think that's probably where I've been riding a lot more. And it's just so easy for us here in Queenstown to go to the bike park. Like, it's open till 6 or 7 o'clock at night or something after work on a weekday, on, long days on the weekend. So just rock up to the bottom of the gondola, jump on, go do some laps and come home. And like, it's simple. It's not, going to the jumps and, doing some water and bloody shaping and everything like that and just touch ups. Like, it's just go out and ride your bike. And I think I kind of needed that switch off for a little bit there as well, where I could just kind of ride my bike and have fun, and that was it. Like, it was just rock up and ride, and so that's why I've spent so much time at the park lately. But yeah, so I guess I have been riding my bike a fair bit more, but just mainly, I guess, chasing the racing, and I think getting that second place definitely ignited a few things, because the guys that were on the podium are, no slouches. They're pretty quick dudes. And I just I got hungry. I was like, I think I can go quicker. So I managed to go to the next one, not feeling super comfortable. And then I guess like race run came around, and you get 2 race runs. Well, this is a sick concept. I think this is probably also the part that like drew me into it and made it easier, because I always crack under pressure. So the way the system works is you have 2 race runs, and they just take your best run from the 2 runs,
right.
and that's what
sick.
your timed run is. Yeah. So if you like have a crash or whatever in your first one, then you can use the second one to clean it up a little bit. Or I think what happened in the first race, I think I like went pretty hard but blew out a lot of corners, and I just used the second one to clean it up a little bit and slow down, but my time was faster. And then the second race, I had like a really conservative run, but it was clean, and I was like sick. Yeah, like got one clean run down. It was in the wet, and I knew that meant that I didn't really have anything to lose by going hard out on the second one. And somehow managed to hold it together, pinball on my way down the track, and managed to take my first win. So I was stoked on that. And fast forward another couple of rounds and got absolutely smoked when we actually got onto a real tech hard trail. I think they got me by like 10 seconds or something. So yeah, that was cool. It's I don't know, it's fun, something different and challenging. And I think like we talked about in one of my early podcasts, maybe like, I guess having the variety of different bikes and stuff and different disciplines so that you don't get bored of one thing. And I used to ride my BMX and ride skate parks and dirt jumps and stuff quite a lot, which I haven't done as much since I got here, I think, because there's so much other variety to do. I think this is just like another aspect of that, of like, spending so much time just riding jumps and that's it, to now switching it up and focusing on gravity, like, downhill and stuff. But then I also surprisingly, I did actually spend a little bit of time on my trail bike in the last couple of months, because
doing heaps of climbing.
Yeah, we actually did, because we had like everyone except me. So like I live in a house of 7 people, and we've got someone else staying in Annie's staying in a van out the front of our place at the moment. So there's 8 of us in the house, and at the time there was 7 of us, and everyone except me got COVID. And because that happened, we had to isolate, and we weren't allowed to do anything for 10 days. Like, you can still go riding and exercise and all that sort of stuff, but you can't go and socialize with anyone. You can't go into any public spaces or anything like that. So the only thing we could do to like kind of keep sane was we would just go for a house ride, like trail riding sort of thing. And yeah, we did a couple of like big pedals, and it was definitely hard work, but like just the satisfaction from that was pretty sick. Managed to get out for one by myself. Just like we were pedaling up like where the bike park is, which is something I've always been against, because I was like, if there's a gondola there and it takes 4 minutes to get up in the gondola, there's no way I'm going to spend 45 minutes to an hour grinding up the access road.
Yeah.
But we didn't have a choice during COVID. So we were like, well, we've got to pedal up it. And I knew I had a race coming up the weekend I was getting out of COVID, like out of quarantine. So, did a bit of a pedal up the access road just so I could go and scope some lines on the way down and just have a bit of a look. So that's been really sick. Stoked on that. Doing a lot of filming and photos and stuff lately as well, which has been cool. So that's good for content while I'm not riding at the moment, after getting my plates and stuff removed.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was just 2 weeks ago. I had the plates removed from my collarbone after that McGazafest crash. And then finally had some screws removed from my foot that have been in there for 2 years too long.
Yeah.
So yeah, now just kind of chilling for a couple of weeks until we get back on the bike. But yeah, I think I have been riding quite a lot lately, which has been pretty sick.
You've had like
back working in Queenstown.
You've had like a fairly decent crew of people in the house as well, right? Like Booker was there for a while. Like,
yeah, Dan came stay with us for a couple of weeks, and
everyone's like stoked on riding and pretty quick, right? Like from the vibes I get.
100%. Yeah, everyone in our house rides, which is sick. Yeah, it was definitely cool having Dan here, and we have one of our other mates, Ollie. He's a good mate of Dan's, and they're both from Tassie. We met them both up in Rotorua when we went up for Crankworx, and then they were like, "Oh yeah, we're coming down to Queenstown in like the next month." So they came down. Dan was staying with us, and Ollie was staying on the next street over. So all of us were just riding together and kind of pushing, and yeah, that was really sick. Stoked on that. I think Dan's hopefully, I don't know. I think he's planning on coming back here at some point in summer next year for a couple of weeks or however long. I don't know. He's always super vague and doesn't really like to make too much of a plan. He just kind of like rocks up. He's just there. Like, I think like he came back, like he was over here for like 7 months without working, like just riding, training, doing competitions and all that sort of stuff. I didn't even know he was coming over here initially. Like he got here in like winter, but apparently he'd been in New Zealand for like 2 months prior to this, but because he wasn't using social media at the time, I had no idea. He just sent me a random video one day of him like coming up short at Dream Track, and he's like, yo, I need a tow in. I was like, what are you doing in Queenstown? And why are you hitting it in winter? And so, yeah, he was here for a little bit for that and then boosted back up and just like kind of just stayed places he could ride all the time. And then stayed down here for summer for a while and then came back over to Oz for national champs.
Yeah.
So he made it back to Maydena for that. And then all of a sudden he came back to Queenstown like a week later for like another 2 weeks. Just because like I think he half-assed applied for like a travel permit or something like during COVID stuff. Like it wasn't like thick COVID, but it was just like, oh, you know, want to come back to New Zealand. Like, you know, can I do that? And they were asking, you know, why do you want to come to New Zealand? And he's like, because I've been living there. And that was his end of his answer. And they were just like he wasn't expecting him to say, yes, you can come. And they did say yes. So he's like, well, I guess I have to take him up on it. And now I am going to go back. So he came over for another couple of weeks and he already had the season pass from when he was staying here. So I lived in the van's still here, and just made the most of bikes. So that was sick and got everything sorted with his new deal at Nuke Proof as well. So I've beyond the world, like stoked for Dan. He's it's hard for everyone, but you know, when you're trying to approach sponsors, you do kind of have to approach them. They're not just going to come out of thin air and say, hey, we, you know, want to sign you up to ride for us. Like, it doesn't mean sending a DM and say, hey guys, sponsor me. But like putting something towards a brand of like, this is why I think I would be a good fit for your company, and you know how I'm going to benefit you and all of that sort of stuff. Because Dan's so humble, it's I think it was pretty hard for him to try and like sell himself and like kind of just go, I really want to, you know, make it as a pro racer, but this is what I'm going to do. And like, you know, he just struggled really hard with getting that kind of point across. And I think like luckily my partner Lindsay, so she's now the marketing manager at Arco. I don't know if we talked about that last podcast or not, but she's been insane. She helped me with a lot of my sponsorship stuff as well, and she's helped Baxter with some stuff too, and then helped Dan with just like kind of putting things into the right words of not coming across like a dick, but also saying this is where I think I would fit, sort of thing. So I think that was probably a good help too. But yeah, just stoked. Like it's been sick. Having everyone coming over and
pretty motivating for you as well to have him around. Like he won Crankworx when he was there, I think, and I remember a video with him holding the check that you sent me. Can't remember what place it's from.
I remember that one.
But like it would have been pretty motivating for you to see all that happening, right?
Yes and no. Like the part that wasn't motivating was seeing how much faster he was than me. But you're like,
without
you
trying
also,
and just looking like he's doing nothing. Yeah.
Exactly. But then you like, you know, when you come to reality of it and like, you know, you get up in the morning, you start making breakfast and he's already been up and he's like doing his stretches in the morning. He's eating all the right things. And then he's like going out for like a hard pedal and like, he's really putting the work in. You're like, okay, well, like that's why you are where you are. Like he's got the talent, but he's also putting in the work and making sure that it's happening. And it's like day in, day out, like proper routine, to make sure you stay on top of it. But yeah, like when you ride behind him and then you're like, he just escapes. You're like, oh, well, fuck, I suck.
Yep.
But then like you gotta remind yourself of like what the difference is. Like the amount of work that he's putting in is a lot, and like he's definitely deserving of like of what he's doing now. So yeah, if you're listening, Dan, hats off to you. Stoked, and yeah, you definitely put in those hard yards. So stoked to see what you do on the EWS and Crankworx series this year. I think he's probably more motivated for Crankworx than EWS, but wants to do both. So, you know, Crankworx is cool because he's got the diversity to be able to do everything, whether it's speed and style, dual slalom, like all of that sort of stuff. Like the Crankworx Rotorua was all done on a 180mm travel bike, and you know he did phenomenal. Like I can't remember. I think he got second. I'm sorry if I butchered this, but I think he got second in the downhill and third in slalom, maybe.
I remember he did like surprisingly well in slalom because I didn't think he'd be that good at it, but then he just decimated everyone. It was real odd.
It was sick. Well, the other thing was like he's running a coil rear shock, and he didn't have like a stiffer spring to be able to put in to run it for dual slalom. So it was his bike was set up pretty much exactly the same as they had it set up for racing downhill as well. Like it wasn't stiffened up in any way, and it was just like, yeah, like insane. If he had had an air shock or like a stiffer spring or something to put into it so that he could kind of like stiffen everything up, like yeah, he probably would have done a lot better in the rhythm sections as well. But he's just got that much power and that much skill, and definitely had the control in like the flat turns when it was like, you know, just it was so wet and muddy that I think that's what probably leveled things out a little bit for people on big travel bikes and hardtails and slope bikes and all that kind of stuff, because it just turned so wet that you needed the traction in the flat turns. So I think that was definitely like a good advantage for Dan to be able to have that. But like, I'm not going to lie, like we were there for Crankworx, had all our passes, but because it was pissing down rain, decided to go home and watch it from the TV at home. We're just like, we're going to be able to see the whole track and we don't have to sit in the rain. Yeah. But, oh man, like me and Lindsay were just like yelling at the screen, like watching Dan, because we were the same thing. We were just like, no idea where he was going to go. He wasn't really that fussed either. He was just like happy to be involved. And he was like, this is sick. Like, I hope it pisses down, because that's going to be like, you know, Maydena kind of thing. Like, it's just going to be, he knows how to ride in the wet. So he was just stoked. And I don't know, it was just, he's definitely a good vibe to be around. He's never got like a negative attitude. And he'll pull you up too if you're being negative as well. He'll be like, nah, I don't think so, or something like that. Like, it's just
walk away. That's what I've experienced.
Yeah, some of those moments where you're just like, fuck, man, can't you just be annoyed at something for once? Why do you have to be so happy about everything? But no, he's just a positive dude, and like, yeah, I can't think of anyone that like deserves, you know, to be able to chase their dreams more than he does. So I'm super stoked that he managed to get that deal together with Nuke Proof. That's really cool.
It seems like throughout COVID, and maybe this year's we're seeing it probably the most, maybe, but like there's more versatile riders wanting to ride Crankworx than it seems like there are dedicated riders to go to like a World Cup downhill or just do slopestyle or just do this. Like it seems like the athletes have changed, but the event has changed as well. Have you kind of noticed that as well? Like, especially from your side, because you're kind of that guy as well, right? Like,
yeah, I guess, like, yeah, downhill World Cups are still definitely like, you know, the pinnacle of like World Cup, you know, like downhill racing sort of thing. When this was just like my predictions were like, and it hasn't really happened, but a couple of years ago, I was kind of thinking as the UCI was starting to crack down on qualifying numbers and stuff and trying to make it like a shorter field, I did sort of see like an opening for Crankworx kind of be like I think we even talked about this too, being like the amateur downhill racing or something like the spot that you go to before you go into like racing downhill World Cups. But I guess that prediction's kind of changed for me a little bit now. Like it sort of has done that a little bit. Like it is more of an amateur level compared to what like the proper World Cup racing is. Like you definitely get some World Cup races at Crankworx, but not the same pool of people. Like it's not as many people at the pinnacle. Not to say that it's not like, still world-class level riding. But I think sponsors are also like pretty stoked having people at these Crankworx events as well, because of like, I guess the coverage that people are going to get from it too. Like the amount of screen time that you're going to get, especially if you're going to do like more events than just like one event. Like, you do a downhill race and maybe you get like, if you're inside the top 20, I can't remember how many people get the like have their run televised, but if it's top 20, then like you only really get like 2 to 2.5 minutes of screen time or something like that. And that's moved straight on to the next rider. But then if you go to an event like Crankworx, most of the runs are all televised. And if you're doing multiple categories as well, like you're doing dual slalom, pump track, downhill, everything, like, over like 1 week of Crankworx, like you're probably clocking up like 2 seasons worth of World Cup screen time. So like that's a pretty big thing, I think, for like sponsors being stoked to have people doing those events, for one. I think having the versatility of just being able to go to Crankworx and being an all-round rider is a really cool thing. And there's an incentive because they've got King and Queen of Crankworx for like the whole series. They've got it for just that one event as well, for like, the overall best rider, or, and like, so I think it's kind of a little bit more than just being put down to that one run. So like that's a really cool thing for people that are just talented bike riders. Like that's it. Like that's draw a line there, not like a talented downhill racer, but like, you've got people like Thomas Lemoyne who are competing at the top of, slopestyle in the world, also competing in speed and style, pump track and dual slalom and everything like that too. So like, and, seeing that kind of aspect of it, I think there's definitely like, there's a huge reason why Crankworx is becoming so popular, or has become so popular. And
there's kind of like it's 2 fields of versatility in my mind as well, right? Like you've got Lemoyne, you've got people like Mike Ross who blew me away at Highline. Like he can trick and do double backies, but holy fuck, can he ride a slalom course? Like so they're trick riders that can ride fast. And then you've got Kate Edwards, Brendan Faircloth, who are ridiculously fast downhillers, but can still go flip canyons. Like, and they are both even at Crankworx.
100%. It's cool. Yeah. Like it definitely just like levels everyone out, and you're just like, it's everyone for everyone, no matter like what, I guess, like discipline that it is that you're mainly focused on. Like you've got so much variety and it doesn't matter. Like you can excel somewhere else. So I think that's really cool. And it's just, I don't know, one, it's like, it's more bang for buck. Like you rock up and you spend a whole week there and you've got so much different riding to do.
Yeah, true.
And like saying all of this sort of stuff, I can't even really say too much because I've still never been to a World Cup. I've never witnessed, I've never gone to watch one or anything like that. But just from like an outsider looking in, like going and rocking up to a race and, you have like 5 practice runs on one day, 2 or 3 practice runs, then a qualifying, and then maybe 1 or 2 practice runs and then a race run, and then you're done. And then it's time to like pack up the tent, pack up everything, load up and head to the next venue. So it feels like that's kind of all feels, I don't know, from what it sounds like it's pretty rushed kind of thing, just to get everything done. But then in saying that, like Crankworx can be a pretty crazy schedule when you're entering in everything. Like that is full on, but you're definitely doing so much more riding. And I feel like maybe at the end of it, like you're like that was a sick week. Like we did so much different stuff, or like, you have a bad result in downhill, but you won dual slalom. Like, it's, I don't know, it seems to me like it's a pretty sick kind of organized event. And, World Cup racing used to have 4-cross racing and stuff like other things going on the side. And it's just not really, it's not really there anymore. So just the general vibe of Crankworx is just like something special. It's a bit of a party, a bit of a fun time. And it's for everyone. Like, it doesn't matter Like, you can be a Grom and you can go and race Crankworx. Like it doesn't matter who you are. Like, if you can't just go and do that at a World Cup, you've got to meet the certain standards and all that sort of stuff. Like if you want to go to the World Cup, you can go and watch, pay for your tickets or whatever. But Crankworx, everyone's allowed to get involved. They've got Crankworx Amateur Series as well, which is just, the level below all the pros. So it's just an all-inclusive event, which I think is super sick. So yeah, I don't know. I love Crankworx. I reckon that's super rad. So I don't even remember what our original question was, but I think we just talked about Crankworx. So like that's But,
I must admit, when I saw, I think it was one of the first videos of you racing the downhill bike, I was like, oh, Jai's racing. What's going on here? And then I rewatched it. I'm like, oh, Jai's quick again. Forgot it. Like, yeah, it's pretty cool. Are you excited to try and race some of the downhill, the Crankworx and stuff, and change it up a bit?
Yeah, for sure. Well, after getting that bug a little bit, and then realizing I actually have a few like UCI like races, I guess, like downhill races where UCI points are up for grabs. Coming up, like there's some that I cannot talk about, which you and Baxter talked about in your podcast, the top secret place event thing that's going to happen.
I don't know what you're talking about.
It still hasn't been announced. No. So I think I'll be at that one. And
I heard a rumor you were building at that one.
I have no idea what you're talking about. Something may happen, something may not. We'll see. But yeah, if I could talk a little bit more about that, I definitely would.
Got to watch out for spiders for sure. Like,
yeah. For sure. Well, yeah, I just don't know. There's still not been anything 100% locked in, confirmed, and signed. So until that happens, can't really say anything. So something potentially may happen somewhere in the world. And then I'm also planning on doing like the national rounds and stuff here next year. Doing Innsbruck, Crankworx. So I think they've got UCI points up for grabs there. I need to double check everything. But I think I'm probably going to try and do a World Cup next year, like just do one. And I distinctively remember our very first podcast where I was like, I have no points in going, what did I say? Like something like I've just got no interest in going to a World Cup to try and like chase a qualifying thing. Like that just didn't interest me. Whereas now I'm still not even going and worrying about whether I'm going to qualify or not. Lindsay is from Maribor in Slovenia, where the World Cup is. So that's where her hometown is. That's where I'm going in June. Yeah. So hoping that next year there's going to be a World Cup on there, because then we can just make it a holiday out of it and go stay with the parents. And then it's just a casual thing. Like, we can just drive to the bike park and that's it. Like, it's not a big, crazy, like plan for ever to try and make something happen. Not going to go and do multiple World Cups. It'll just be one of those things where just go and rock up, you're there and just be involved in it. So that's kind of where I'm at with that, because it'd be sick to just like kind of tee something off like that. Yeah, I did go and ride at a World Cup.
Do you reckon we'll qualify quicker, like you or Baxter?
I'm not gonna lie, Baxter's so much faster than me.
Yeah, but I'm more about who's actually going to follow through with the plans on this one.
With the result?
Not just with the plan of actually going there and getting there.
True. Yeah. I think if someone's going to actually make it there, it's probably going to be me. And if I was single, it probably wouldn't be me. But I've got someone else that's going to make the decision and just tell me we're going.
Okay. So, fair enough.
So I think that's probably what's going to happen. And we met some of Lindsay's friends last night, and they're getting married. And we just found out last night that Lindsay's invited to the wedding next year. So it sounds like I'm going to Europe again next year anyway. So yeah, I think it's probably more likely that if one of us is going to go and not the other one, I think I'm probably the one that's going to end up going. But at the same time, I have been on Baxter's back real hard out about going traveling and doing events because, again, like another super talented rider, so sick, and his promotional content is second to none. Like what he does on Instagram is insane. Like goes well above and beyond for, you know, promoting himself and promoting brands and all of that kind of stuff. And I think if he was someone, and it's just a shame that all the COVID stuff's been happening and not being able to travel. If he was someone that was able to travel and just kind of be somewhere else and do these things, you know, do exactly what he's doing, but in a different location, then in a different location, like whether it's going to races or whether it's just filming rad content, like I think he's got the real potential to kind of create a good brand out of himself and like go down that kind of route towards becoming a pro rider. I think Baxter's definitely got the potential to do it, but he needs to just get out of Tassie and go do some stuff elsewhere.
Well, he's got that new house now.
Because otherwise,
have you seen?
I've been talking to him about it heaps. I was like, I said it downstairs the other day to my housemates. I was like, "Oh, did you guys know Baxter has a bus now?" And it's like only because he's told me every time we've spoken on the phone. He's like, "Yeah, man, I bought a bus," and I was like, "Yeah, you told me the last 2 times we spoke." He's like, "Yeah, but I finally picked it up." And I was like, "Oh, sick, dude." But that's rad. And I don't even know. I feel like we can talk about, like, he's been sharing some stuff, little bits, snippets and stuff on Instagram as well. Like he's working on some cool shit at the moment. I'll be careful about how much I say about that, but I'm sure it's going to come out pretty soon because he's been doing some filming and everything. But a really, really cool project in the works. He's been sending me a bunch of snippets and stuff from that. So I'm stoked. I'm frothing.
It's one of the first like projects I've seen from an Australian rider where I've been like, that's next fucking level. Like what he's got coming is huge.
Yeah, for sure.
Can't wait to see all that.
Yeah. And he definitely he got lucky that a few things like aligned pretty comfortably with him, like with the location and machinery and stuff like that. I'm being very vague in selling some things, but like not enough. But so he's done well with like getting all that sort of stuff lined up, that it's working really well. And I've been picking his brain as well about everything that he's done to make it happen, because these sort of things aren't cheap, what he's doing. And he's kind of like recorded like how much money he's put into it, how much money sponsors have been putting into it. And like, he's running at a loss for sure doing this. But like, I'm hoping that, well, maybe breaking even. I don't know. It's an interesting one. But I think if he was to be working for the time that he was doing that build, then yeah, like I guess he's just taking 2 weeks off. Like it's as if it's like 2 weeks holidays sort of thing, I guess. Like that's probably a better way to put it. Like he's losing the money that he would have got if he was working. But he could definitely sorry, I don't remember where I was going with that part.
I feel like he's going to get so much exposure from this thing that
I really hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I'm really hoping, because I think it's going to be a sick video. I think what he's done is sick. Everything that he sent me is like super rad. I just hope that it gets promoted in the right way, with like little snippets kind of teasing it and like building it up and everything as well. Which I think he definitely will, because I think he sort of found that some other stuff in the past is like just kind of, he was super stoked and thought it was going to blow up, and it just kind of blew under the radar because it wasn't promoted in the right way. So I think he's kind of learning from that stuff as well.
It's hard, man. Like everything's changing. It's so hard.
Yeah.
You can't just go and release an edit on YouTube anymore and send it to the big people and hope things happen. You gotta play the game.
Yeah, 100%. And it's like, I guess like it definitely helps with, you know, having, I don't know how many times I've said Lindsay's name in this podcast, but definitely helps having her like working in the marketing department at Darko, because she's very on it. She's like having all of the phone calls and stuff like with different marketing teams and stuff elsewhere about digital marketing, everything that's going on, what's grabbing attention and all of that sort of stuff. And then she's on my case, and I'll post something on Instagram. She's like, "Why did you post it like that? We've been over this." She's definitely like a team manager.
Bad joke.
Yeah. She's like, why did you do it landscape? It has to be portrait.
Don't get me started
just
on
like-
portrait GoPros, man.
Oh,
I've been
it's
taking
insane,
photos of
but-
people using in portrait, and it looks full Teletubby, and it just ruins
oh,
my
I
soul.
can imagine.
But
But
what
the
it is.
content coming out on the other end, man, blowing up.
Sick.
But yeah, like just the way you like, because everything's become so fast and at hand, like, and without even meaning to, like, attention spans have just been like just drawn so slowly. And I think are so drawn to becoming so small, like they have, and like I'm the same. Like if something's going for too long, I'm just like, I didn't get drawn in with the first 2-3 clips, like, and that's kind of done. Like it hasn't happened fast enough, and that's it. Like, you know, the reels that I post, the ones that blow up are the ones that have been super short. Just something that I've kind of learnt from. But then in the midst of that, like what's happened is podcasts have blown up because people can do other things while they're listening to podcasts. So then like, that's why someone's got time to spend like 2 hours listening to us talking shit, because they're in the middle of cleaning their house right now, aren't you?
They're busy operating
You
on
know,
someone at work or something like that,
yeah,
because heaps of
yeah.
surgeons listen to this, you know.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. But like it's yeah, everything's just changing, and then just kind of trying to keep on top of that with the sponsorship world now. Like social media is now like embedded into being a sponsored athlete these days. Like it's just kind of a given that you need to be a part of it. And then, you know, maybe you can be a super talented rider that's not really doing a whole lot of social media, but one, you're probably going to be super talented, and two, like if you're doing it without the social media, you're probably going to take a huge pay cut. Like it's just the way it's going to work, because the social media platform is, you know, one of the major things that sponsors need to see these days, which is pretty hectic. So yeah, that's why I'm a strong believer that Baxter can definitely do really well, because he is so good at that social media game, with everything that he does, and he learns from everything too, and like just really thinks about it, and he takes notes of like what worked, what didn't work. And sometimes you post something and you think it's shit, or like, you know, you're not appreciative of like what you've done. You're like, oh, I feel a bit weird on the bike in this one, like it doesn't look right, but he'll just post it anyway. And then those ones are the ones that blow up. So it's like, it's super weird.
I guess he's one of them, and like Carol Buchanan is really good at it as well. And there's a few, like Dean Lucas is getting it as well now. Like he's starting to invest.
Harriet as well.
Yeah, Harriet has for sure.
Yeah.
But I've noticed you've got like a few photographers and videographers that you kind of have with you, like at certain events and stuff. Is that how you or you're organizing shoots instead of just setting your phone up on the side of the hill?
Yeah, so I've been, I guess, kind of lucky in a few ways. Well, like the racing and stuff, like I'm lucky that there's generally photographers and stuff shooting the races. So that's where I've been getting a lot of like race content. They're just kind of been giving out the photos for personal Instagram use, not business, but personal accounts. So that's been really good. But then also, like, I guess to be straight up, I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about this. I think it's fine. Polygon have been like, you know, I spoke pretty quick, pretty deep with Dave, and Dave definitely understands things about like, you know, shooting content and stuff to be able to like help both of ourselves, help Polygon and help myself, because, you know, wanting to have good quality content of the bikes and everything's, you know, always an important thing. So Polygon have been really good that they've been able to give me a budget to be able to use photographers and stuff like that, and filmers to do some stuff. So we've just done a trail bike video. I've just seen the finished cut like the other day, which I'm pretty stoked on. Like we kind of had to film it over like, oh man, we filmed it over nearly 12 months, only because like when we started filming was brief. When I filmed the first bit, I was like, yep, sweet, we got one day, we need to do one more day of filming. And then things just got hectic with my work schedule, because we had Crankworx Rotorua, and then we had Crankworx Queenstown, and just a bunch of stuff going on. that it was just too much to try and like tee it all up. And then Dylan Foote, like our filmer, he's also like, that's his full-time job, but he's also in high school. So he's like navigating like being employed
high school,
full-time
man.
and being at high school. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was over here the other day, and he's just like, he told us the other day he actually got kicked out of school because he's been missing too many days because he's too busy with work filming and stuff. And it's like, it's one of those kind of weird ones. He's already developed himself like in the filming industry and getting so much work and stuff out of it that it's like, well, is it worth finishing school, or do I just follow the career path that I want to do because it's like right there and ready for me to go and I can keep getting these experiences? So he's decided to like go down that path and just work full time now. So himself, like him being busy, me being busy, trying to tee everything up, it just got chaotic. And then when we were finally ready to go and film again, he was filming some stuff up on the North Island. One of the riders broke his collarbone, so they sent someone else up, and then that guy broke his bike, so then that guy couldn't film anymore. So they were kind of like hanging out and delaying everything. And I was lucky one of my mates was on holiday down here, Josh Birkenhake, and asked him if he'd be able to shoot the clip. And yeah, it was sick. We got some really cool footage out of that. And it's just been all pieced together last week. So that's something to look out for that's coming. So that's sick. And then I've also done some other kind of cool photography things. I think I also got really lucky with just being here in Queenstown and being at the races. Like I got approached by a photographer that wanted to shoot some stuff just because I had the white Darko kit on for my race that I tried to just put on in the mud because I was like, this will encourage me not to crash. And he was just stoked on how the kit looked because it was like, you know, it was a muddy race. It was dark. It was gloomy. And the white kit just popped in the trees. And he was like, dude, I really want to shoot that. That looks sick. So we went out and did some photo shooting.
Did you see the photo I put up of Jackson on my personal account today? He's in that same kit and it just pops.
Yeah.
So hard.
Yeah.
It's so good. Yeah. And every time Connor wears it, you're just like, damn, that thing's sick. Yeah. And then he races in his black one. But
yeah.
The white is so good.
I'm gonna have a look right now. And I encourage everyone listening to have a look too. Then we can all look at it together. Yeah. So it was actually posted 5 hours ago. So I can't even tell you what date it was posted to look at. Oh, well, I guess today's date.
Yeah.
So if you have a look on the 19th of April on tiny.dm Instagram, you'll find Darren's personal Instagram account that I've now given out. He's going to have to put it on private because he's going to get flooded with followers. And then you'll see Jackson Frew in the white Darko kit riding at Threadbow. Yeah, that's sick. Yeah. It's super rad.
But the white kit just makes everything better.
Yeah, for sure, dude. Like, I don't know. It's sick. I never really ride in white. And then, like, I'm not going to lie, when I first got that white kit and I put it on at home and I looked at myself in the mirror, I was like, this is too much. Like, this is pretty bold. But then, like, you know, once you actually start riding and then all the photos and stuff came through, I was like, yo, that's sick. Like, yeah, it might feel a bit weird, like standing in the living room in a full white getup, but you know, once you're on the trails and stuff, like the content that comes out of it's insane. So
I personally don't wear it just because I don't like being the Michelin man, which is exactly how it come across. But I think like shooting and like bright kit, if kids, if you want your photo taken, wear bright kit. That
100%, yeah.
Darko tie-dye, the purple one.
Yep.
Every second kid was in that at Threadbow.
Yeah. Yeah.
I couldn't believe it.
Yeah. It's insane. And even like same thing with that one. I put that on and I was like, this is a lot. Because like I'm not, you know, like even last year I was just like, I'd wear a pair of jeans and a jersey or a long sleeve top or something like that. Like that was just kind of, because I was just riding jumps. I wasn't riding downhill or anything like that. But now I'm back into downhill. I was like putting kits on. But what has been cool with like, I guess having that purple and the white kit is definitely, it feels like you've kind of got more kits out of it because you can easily wear like the white pants. I think the white pants and purple jersey is a really mean combo. And then like, so
Timmy Eaton went white jersey, pink pants. That looked pretty sick as well. But yeah, you can just mix and match it. Hey.
100%. That's been like, I think that's been pretty cool. And then I think there's some really rad stuff coming out soon as well, which will be pretty sick. But man, even just like seeing how much Darko have blown up lately has been ridiculous. I was just kind of like talking about it recently with Lindsay, and we've got a new athlete manager from the US, Chrissy, and so it's like, I guess for me, I'm just trying to like navigate the whole thing, because I've been with Darko for I don't even know, like it has to be like 7-8 years or something like that. It was pretty close to the start. I think they were like 2 or 3 years old or whatever when I started riding for them. So seeing it grow from like Mandy running it from, you know, the house or whatever, and just kind of making some kits, and it being pretty big around the Sydney region sort of thing, where it's based, to how much it's blown up worldwide, and, you know, having international staff everywhere, and just like athletes, like it's a huge roster of athletes on there now. Like, you know, having the common style team, you know, Kyle and Rachel Strait, Tom Eisted just signs to Darko, Lewis Buchanan. Like, it's been insane. And I don't know, I would love for Mandy to do one of these podcasts at some point. I don't know if she ever will, because she gets pretty shy around the camera. But like, I just feel like she has to have such a cool story that I really want to hear about. Like, I hope you're listening to this now, Mandy, because I feel like you have the sickest story to talk about, starting the business from nothing and to where it's at now. Like, it's been an insane growth, and I'm super stoked for you. And I hope that you're proud of yourself, because you've created something fucking rad. So I'm stoked to be a part of that. And that's been so cool from the start. So that's my little 2 cents to a sponsor, but it's just been sick. It's less of a sponsor, and like, it's definitely one of those cliche things of more of a family, but I've been there so long that it is really tight. So it's been sick, and have my partner work there as well now. So
it must have been pretty nerve-wracking for Amory to come on and then see that, you know, he's got to live up and fit the boots of Jai Motherwell. Like,
yeah, well, he did send me a message. He sent me a message when he was like first approached. And he was asking, he was like, oh, like, hey man, like, I heard that like Darko want to sponsor the common style team. And like, I've seen you being with them for quite a few years. And like, I was just wondering, like, what's it going to be like? Are they sweet? Are they chill? I know I'm not as fast as you, but I really hope that I can perform this year. And, you know, any tips you have for like cornering, or, you know, just suspension
letting off
setup,
the brakes, or
anything. Yeah, all of that sort of stuff. He was asking me about uphill riding and everything, and I thought that was really good. I was glad that he hit me up and he was asking about all of that sort of stuff.
Are you a bit sad that he hasn't credited you for any of those wins after you gave him the advice?
A little bit, but like at the same time, we did keep it pretty discreet, because we were just like, you know, this is, you know, some sensitive stuff that we're talking about here. And it's like, he was self-conscious about his own writing. So I don't want to blast him on social media or over a podcast about any of this sort of stuff. So like, Amory, I totally understand why you haven't said anything. I understand why you don't follow me yet either. It's just... it's the way the cookie crumbles.
That's the goal of this episode, is to get Amory Pirion to follow Jai.
But yeah, like that, I don't know, Darko, I remember even Mandy was like mind blown that like they ended up with common style. Like, I don't want to talk about how it happened or anything like that, but like, it's just still, the way it happened was a surprise. It was a shock. And all of a sudden, you know, they've got one of, if not the fastest race team on the circuit. Like, and I don't know, this is just my opinion, but I definitely think that they're running some of the best looking kits at the races, like race after race. Like, it's just something different. And I don't know, it looks sick. And there's definitely going to be some people that are not into the Darko thing, and that's fine. Like, if it's not the kits that you're into. But for me, watching the World Cups, I'm just like, I think hands down that they're looking the best out of everyone out there. But maybe I'm biased because I've been there for so long, but that's just how I see it. I'm like, that looks sick. It's clean. It's tidy. It's nice. I don't know. It's different. So that's where I'm kind of at with that.
Unique. Nice. It's unique.
Yeah. It's different.
Are you, so what, so you're doing Crankworx events this year? You're obviously racing a bit downhill. Is there anything big? What are some of the big events that you've got planned? Are you going to try and get to Rampage at some point still?
Nah, I actually kind of forgot about that. Yeah, to dig, but I completely forgot about that. I haven't actually spoken to Kyle in a minute, but so far this year, like things are kind of just changing constantly. I'm trying really hard to make sure I don't let one thing slip that we might have coming up. But kind of waiting to go to Rotorua Rotorua up on the North Island to prepare everything for Crankworx for next year. This year, actually. Sorry, that's in November. But do all the prep work for that. And again, because I don't know what's going on, I don't know how much I can say, but there's going to be some huge changes at Rotorua this year. So a lot of things are going to be different. So that's pretty sick. That's one thing that's probably going to be up there for quite a while to get everything sorted. And hopefully get pretty creative with some stuff. So following on from that, then Lindsay and I are going to go over to Europe, fly into Austria, and then head to Slovenia, where she's from. And then, do a bunch of like the typical tourist Europe stuff and go to, I don't even know where we're going. I just kind of left it in her hands and just be like, Europe better than I do. Just take me somewhere you think's going to be sick. So that's kind of what we're going to do, I think. So I think we're going to Italy and Germany and Serbia. I don't really know enough. I'm just like, we're going places. So that'll be cool.
Yeah. It's Europe.
And the fact that she rides bikes as well. So the fact is, like, we're going to do a mix of going riding and going and doing sightseeing and stuff like that too. So we're going to be over there for anywhere between 4 to 6 weeks. I think we're just kind of leaving it open. I guess I can say this. I'm going to see if I can get a spot to ride flat out days in Slovenia. Don't know if you've heard of that one, but that's like it's kind of like a Fest Series inspired event. They do like big, long, big jumps, downhill bike jumps. Some of them kind of like have that same loose vest kind of vibe. But they've got a big hip at the bottom. I guess that sounds very similar to loose vest. But so I've been kind of like keeping up with that, and I'm just gonna send an email over and see how it goes, and just tell them I'm gonna be around, and if I can come ride, that would be sick. But if not, then that's the way it is. So yeah, so I'll be over there for Innsbruck Crankworx, to potentially do that event, come back to here or potentially the other location that's undisclosed and we're not talking about yet. And I'm going to be there at some point to do a lot of stuff, building and riding and everything. Then back to Rotorua to finish things up and stay there for Crankworx. And again, like probably do the downhill and whip off. Still really, I just want either a podium. I want a podium real bad in the whip off at one Crankworx event. Like it's definitely goals. So definitely going to work hard for that one.
Yeah. So you Chaos.
Yeah.
And old Matt. Yeah.
Matt Begg. Yeah.
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 Or
Matt Begg's Wild Man. Billy.
Who's Bernard Kerr's
another
mechanic.
huge one.
Bernard Kerr's mechanic. Bedwoods. He was at Innisbrook.
Not Kurt.
No.
Kurt McDonald? No.
Yeah, the pivot mechanic who just
throws.
Okay.
I'm not too sure who it is. Yeah.
I'll send it to you later. Right. Yeah. It's dumb how good he is.
Yeah, right. Did you? Oh, yeah. No, I was about to say, did you see Chaos's whip the other day? But you sent it to me.
Yeah. Dumb.
That was wild, man. Like, oh, That's so sick.
Yeah. It's dumb.
Yeah, insane. So yeah, now I've been humbled again. So maybe I won't get that podium. Thinking about all of these guys, but that's a goal still.
You'll get there. It's
then
easy.
so that's pretty well me until I think like late November, and then back in Queenstown for the summer. We've got some more stuff to do at Glendew Bike Park. So they've got like an enduro bike park over in Wanaka, about an hour away from here.
Yeah.
Yep. So we just built a blue jumps line out there, and we've just been waiting. I actually don't know if they've opened it or not yet, because we've been waiting for the rain to come in, because it's been a really dry summer over here. And Glendew is extremely exposed, like just all out in the open. Magnificent views, but there's no trees anywhere.
Yeah.
So everything just gets really dry and just stays bone dry. So we've been waiting for some good moisture to hit before they open that up. Maybe open by now, but I'm not 100% sure. And then another thing we were going to do out there is, a few years ago, people might remember that there was a Brandon Semenuk video done in New Zealand called Midpoint.
Yeah.
And there was a line built for Semenuk out at Glendew, which consisted of like a big dirt spine, a hip, some like a flat drop, step up, step down, just like a big mix of some things for him on his slope bike. And then that's kind of pretty well just sort of sat there and not really done a whole lot since the video. The local crew that work there have kind of like touched it up themselves and just gone and had some sessions and stuff on it. But the plan will be to build a black jumps line that's going to incorporate Semenuk's jumps in it.
Cool.
So that'll be sick. So that'll be like a cool, proper big black jumps line that's going to be linkable from the whole park, or we'll put like a pedal in so you can just like hit the line and either pedal up or push up or whatever, and kind of session the whole jumps line. So I'm pretty excited for that, because looking at the terrain, it's really cool. Some really nice gullies and ridges and stuff. So we'll be able to make some pretty big step ups and stuff like that. So that'll be a fun project. Just need to find the time to do it, because we really need to do it when it's moist out there, because it's just so hard to build when it's dry. So that's some stuff we've got coming up. And then that brings me to like December. And what are we in now? April. Like, yeah, the next 9 months or so are just hectic. Still kind of like keeping in the back of my mind and just kind of like slowly ticking away at planning things to do my own build, which I'm sure you and I have talked about, whether it's been on the podcast or not, but trying to do like a build ride project, something I wanted to do for a long time. Like I've now been building trails for like 7 years, and professionally as a job, and I've still never built anything for myself. So it would be really cool to just do something that's like a full build all the way I want to do it, and just to make a sick video project out of it.
Are you going to do like a 20-foot wide dirt road into some jumps and stuff down a hill? Maybe like your dream ride or something like that? Or
it's probably going to be the same kind of thing, I guess. Like, it's, for me, like I've got some cool features in mind that I want to do, but I don't know how much. There's so much that I keep saying, I don't know how much I want to talk about. Maybe we shouldn't have done a podcast if you didn't want to talk about things. But but yeah,
I'm only doing it to get Perion to follow you. That's all we're doing.
Yeah.
That's what.
I've got some features that I definitely want to build that I haven't really seen done too much. Like, they've definitely been done before, but not used very often for the style that I want to use them for, as like a downhill bike jumps video. I do also want to incorporate some pretty gnarly raw park riding into it as well. Just so that I can kind of like, I guess, sort of show off my skills a little bit for both riding jumps and riding like fast downhill on the same bike, and sort of being able to trick and ride quick at the same time. And they might not even be at the same location, but might do some fun cinematic stuff to make it look like they are, and do some cool fades or something weird. But yeah, that's kind of something that I've just been brewing on for a while.
Just star wipes.
I mean, it's been a long time, like quite a few years that I've been thinking about doing that kind of thing. But yeah, then talking to Baxter about what he's been doing and kind of creating plans off that, along with just speaking with people with property as well, and then figuring out the logistics of machinery and stuff too, because I think that there's definitely an opportunity for whether it's machinery companies or machinery hire companies to jump on board as sponsors as well.
Yeah,
and just sort of show what we can shape up with their diggers. I think there's some cool things that I just need to bring together. But yeah, that's still big plan of something I want to do. And that still might take me years to do. Like maybe I don't do it for 3, 4, 5 years. I don't know, but I'm just going to keep ticking away at it until it happens. But that's probably a pipe dream of mine, like one that I've wanted to do since I started riding bikes. So I'm just happy to just keep ticking away at it and let it happen when it happens. I don't want to rush into it. I don't want it to be like a slap together job. I'd rather it be something that I'm stoked on and I'm stoked to release to everyone, rather than just getting it done and going, oh, my riding wasn't as good, or I wish I spent more time on this. Like, if I'm going to do it, it's going to be perfect. So I don't want to, rush into anything.
Sounds sick, man. Like, I'm desperate for a proper single track edit with some jumps and stuff and forest and all that type of thing. I know the logistics are hard, but damn, I'm keen to watch something a little bit less fire road jumps.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Wait till this trail bike edit comes out.
Yeah.
Do you want more like raw techie downhill sort of stuff, or like still like some flow trail, single track stuff, or like what is it that you're kind of like thinking in, like, that you kind of want to see, or like that's you don't think's being done enough?
It's maybe because like I grew up with the collective, like Rome, that style of Squamish, BC, like Canadian riding, or even like sprung and stuff, where it was like British downhill and that raw feeling.
Like, do you remember Seasons, the mountain bike movie? Yeah, that's what I grew up on. And it's like, I feel like I'm kind of picturing some of that, like, the sick autumn riding where they're like banging through like a gully or something like that, just like berms side to side between the two, and just like, it just looks fun. Like, it looks sick.
Yeah. And it's relatable.
That kind of like, yeah, for sure. Yeah, that makes sense.
Like, it's not, no one can go and build an 8-meter wide dirt jump track in their backyard. Just go on session 30-foot jumps. It's 100%. Sick. Like, it is cool. I'm not ragging on it before people send me messages. But like that, watching like Brooke McDonald or someone just smash through narrow technical single trail is next level. Like that,
100%.
There was a section for the latest Anthill film Gamble, I think, where like they had Blinky out, just a railing single track and tight narrow stuff. It was the best section ever. Same with Connor.
I was about to say that. I was like, those two, like Connor and Blinky, I think had the best segments in Gamble for sure. They were so sick to watch. Like, it was really cool.
And it's their style.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, for sure. Like, both loose on the bike and just like really fun to watch ride that kind of stuff too. Like, they make it look enjoyable, and they make you want to get out and ride your bike, because you're like, I want to go do that. Like, let's go be aggressive and let's go rip these turns. Like, it's that sort of stuff's sick. Maybe that's something to take on board. Like, maybe I need to do a little bit more of that. Like, because that requires way less building and stuff as well. But I guess like, that's for sure possible to go out and shoot that stuff. For my sort of thing, I think it's more because I spend so long in the digger doing all this sort of stuff, and I'm imagining what I can do with it, and I'm like, like, I can build something insane.
Just be one thing. Like, what did I watch the other day? The Raw 100 compilation of semenuk. where they go through all of them. It's like what is it? It's 8-minute film or something, 10-minute film.
Yeah.
And he goes from that first one, which is single track. He does that tiny little whip, and he's just railing this single track for 100 seconds, all the way through to that massive gaps and stuff. And then he rides like Rampage, Utah.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, you can't just go do that. But there's so much versatility that can happen in one edit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get you. So not just making it like singly one thing, like kind of mixing it up so there's variety throughout the whole thing. Is that what you mean? Yeah.
Yeah. Like a hardline edit would be amazing.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. So like big hip in the middle of a downhill, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I guess that's kind of like the concept of sort of what I was thinking as well. Sick. Like I kind of got ideas of like just some sort of transition where it's like, coming out of a berm into a huge step down, and it might be just like fade away, and then you land in huge braking bumps somewhere.
Yeah.
And then that's like your transition into going and riding like some raw downhill stuff. And then, maybe pop out of the trees, like doing a big jump out of the trees, and all of a sudden you're back into like open, like jumps and stuff like that. So that's kind of the concept that I've sort of got in mind. And I hope no one snags it now, but like, I think it was kind of done a little bit with like Brooks' thing, but it was just like, I don't know. I think with that sort of stuff, it was.
I think a while back where he jumped off of a trail bike onto a downhill bike.
Oh yeah. That one shot, I think that was called.
No, it's not one shot.
The one we're thinking of in the paddock? Different one.
There's another one, an old one. It might have been in Seasons or one of those films, maybe Rome.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
I'll have to find it because it's low key one of his best video parts ever. I'll find it and send it to you.
Right. Yeah, definitely send it to me. Yes. Yeah, but yeah, I think it's definitely been done before. Maybe not heaps. Plus, I guess the hard thing to do is making things look as rowdy as they are on video. For one, is hard, especially when you're comparing with like, the full sculpted like dirt park kind of thing of doing jumps and stuff like that. And then you try and go into raw stuff. It's probably not going to look as gnarly as what it should. And maybe it'll look like the pace is slowed down or something. Like it'd be hard to make sure that it looks like you're going faster when you hit that stuff too. Than what it is when you're riding the jumps. So there's definitely going to be a lot going into it, which I think will be cool to like talk with some filmers and stuff like that about like how we navigate the build to make sure that that's what we can kind of make it look like. So we'll make it look like the jumps are, everything's slower, and then everything in the downhill stuff's a bit faster. So yeah, it could be cool for sure. Yeah, definitely keen.
Yeah, I'm keen. Better not take 3 years to make.
Oh, it might.
It will. But yeah.
Yeah, it will. I'm not going to lie. Yeah. If it's any sooner than 3 years, then everyone can just get a surprise like Kendrick Lamar's album that just dropped. Did you hear about this? I only saw it today.
No.
Did you hear about what happened? Oh my God. So I was just typical in the scroll hole on Instagram.
Yeah.
And someone had like posted on Twitter or something in February, Kendrick Lamar has retired. It was just like a fan or something like that.
Yeah.
Kendrick Lamar hadn't dropped any music in forever. And I think it was like today or yesterday, Kendrick Lamar just like reshared that guy's tweet with a link to his new album. And that was how he announced his new album.
That's so sick. That's so good.
So it was just like, just not say anything, no other promo whatsoever. He was just like, here it is.
That's what you need.
Yeah, it was sick. I was saying to Lindsay, I was like, that's sick marketing. Like it's just, that's got everyone kind of talking about it, and he didn't need to do anything to like push it.
Yeah.
It was just like a little thing that's like, and I think that's what I guess Lindsay has talked to me about with marketing and stuff as well, is like, it doesn't need to be so forced, but you can do something funny or witty or whatever to get the promo out for things, which is pretty cool. But yeah, so where was it? Oh yeah, that's what I'm gonna do with my video. When everyone thinks it's not gonna happen, I'll just link them in. I'll be like, here it is. No, I probably won't do that because and I'll be scared that no one's gonna watch it and I won't catch on because I'm not Kendrick Lamar.
You'd try Motherwell, man.
Maybe I'll get Amory Pirion to just drop it on his feed or something. I'd be like, yeah, that was for all the advice, bro.
Well, I think we might start wrapping things up on that note.
Yeah, for sure, man.
What have you been listening to lately?
Oh, actually, there's a cool band that I've been listening to on repeat.
Mm-hmm.
They're called Long Boys. And they're actually from like, a couple of suburbs over from where I'm from. I just saw like some mates from back home sharing some of their content on Instagram recently. Like, so they're just super underground, just chill. I don't know what would I even call them? Like it's not. Oh, it's like kind of surf rocky sort of vibe, I guess, a little bit.
Yeah, okay. Yep.
And we've used one of their tracks for the edit that we've just done because I've just been frothing on it so hard, and I was like, this is a sick song. So I've been listening to that. My music is definitely still pretty varied, like all over the place. I've been listening to a guy named Lizzie. He's a Samoan Australian, like I think. I can't remember whether he was born in NZ with Samoan background. I don't know. I feel like I'm gonna dig myself a little bit of a hole without knowing the full heritage and situation of where he's from and all that sort of stuff. But I think from what I remember, he moved to Australia when he was 3 years old or something. So he spent most of his life in Oz. So I've been listening to him a lot. It's that same sort of style as like Chilling It and everything like that. Just like a little bit more punchy and aggressive. And what else? Like as far as podcasts go, I've actually got obsessed for some reason listening to Two Bears, One Cave. Have you heard about that at all?
Yeah.
So Tom Segura and Bert Kreischer, for anyone that's wondering, 2 comedians. And it's probably one that's more worth, like, I guess they have like a lot of things that like you kind of need to see visually. Because it's literally just 2 comedians not holding back and just talking shit to each other. And they do not care what people on the outside think. If you like it, you like it. If you don't like it, then fine. Just go listen to something else. Yeah. So they're not worried about like, anything about, people not being interested. They're just talking their own shit. And it's ridiculous. Like some of the shit that they say is outrageous. So that's been like what I've kind of been listening to at work flat out, because I haven't really listened to it since the start. So now, and I think they do them twice a month or something like that. So I'm just like playing catch up, and I'll listen to like 6 or 7 podcasts a day from them.
So good.
I stopped listening to Joe Rogan for a while there because it seemed like every podcast was somehow, especially after when he had COVID, every podcast he did was talking about COVID and all of that sort of stuff. And I just got sick of it. So I haven't delved back into Joe Rogan for a while, but I'm usually a pretty big fan. So maybe I will soon, because I feel like I've given him a break for a couple of months, and maybe I'll go back into it. Other than that, watched a movie on Netflix recently called Metal Lords. Have you seen that?
So good.
Yes.
Yeah.
So good. I messaged Tom Mallet after it straight away, and I was like, "You need to watch this." Yeah, but that was really good. We only watched that a couple of nights ago. Stoked. I was like, "Yeah, this has just got me fired up." I was like, "Yeah, that was rad."
It's pretty lighthearted,
so
but some of the stuff that's in it is just so stereotypical of metalheads. It's just the best thing ever.
Yeah. That was really good.
It's a modern age Spinal Tap. I don't know if you ever watched Spinal Tap is like a full takeoff of metal. It just points out everything that was wrong with metal in the like Black Sabbath, glam metal days. It's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to watch it. Yeah,
test that out. You got a lot of things to link me after this.
I'm gonna forget to do all of them.
Yeah. So what else? I think that's kind of been it. I'm trying to think, because I want to give people things to listen to. Again, like, I don't know, I go through waves where sometimes I'll listen to like mountain biking stuff, and then sometimes I'm like, my life just is mountain bikes 24/7 and I need a break, and that's why I kind of switched to Two Bears, One Cave for a bit as well, because it was just nonsense. which was good. So I don't think I've really been listening to any other bike stuff. I did. Oh, who released a podcast that I listened to? I think I listened to all of Elliot Jackson's ones because he's only done like 9 or so. I don't know if you've
Oh,
even
yeah.
seen that.
Go Reggie. Yeah.
Yep, Reggie
Radio.
Radio.
Yeah.
Yep. So I listened to those because I feel like he is such a good speaker and he's just like kind of fun to listen to.
I'm almost ready to pay for Beta because he's got a bunch of stuff on there. Like
yeah?
Yeah, the pink bike and Beta. I like pink bike's your base one and Beta's a bit more high level. And I think he's got a bunch of stuff on there.
So it's OnlyFans for podcasts.
Well, it's for mountain biking. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah. Sick.
It's like 7 cents a day or something. But yeah.
Oh, that's easy. Yeah.
Yeah. 25 US a month, a year or something. But yeah.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. Someone else did a podcast today. Oh, I listened to 1 or 2 of like Tippy's podcasts because I was like, well, this is gonna like bring me up because he's just so stoked. But yeah, I think I listened to Tippy's first 2 podcasts. These are all months ago now, but yeah, so that was pretty cool. But apart from that, I don't think I've really been listening to heaps. I would say I listened to a couple of yours. I listened to Baxter's. Someone else did one that I was stoked on. Whose was it that I listened to recently? I'm gonna log into Spotify and have a look at which ones it was.
Why you do that?
Sorry, guys. Be with me for 2 seconds.
We've talked about Dan Booker and how chill he is.
Yeah.
The other day I said, I put a question up on Instagram, like, what gets you motivated? Like, what's some of your good songs?
Yeah.
And his was Slayer, Raining Blood.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, what? Like,
you can't really like imagine him listening to it.
No, not at all. Like, he's like the anti.
That's crack up.
It was so good. I'm like, are you okay? Like, sick song, amazing song. But yeah, I just couldn't picture him that ever coming out of his headphones.
No, because I feel like he's more like into his like indie rock or like just chill, surf rock, everything. Like he's just like a more casual kind of guy. Actually, no, there's like I'm just gonna say it. I'm just gonna try and sing it. No, I can't. I'm not gonna sing it. But there was like a song. Now I have to look it up. On the rock.
Okay.
I probably can't play it because Spotify might flag us.
Yeah, it'll probably get done for copyright somewhere.
Yeah, but yeah, I think my housemate's got him onto it.
Yeah, okay.
And it's just like Kiwi, just rap stuff. Yeah. And he was hooked on that. Like every time we'd like go out in the car, he'd be like, "Yeah, put it on." So like sometimes it does just like he has an interesting taste in music that you wouldn't believe.
Yeah.
And there's so many people like, well, Tom Mellett's one that's like, yeah, you know, he's into metal. Like he's got a big skull painted on the front of his car, handcuffs hanging from the mirror. Like,
you're
like, yeah, that guy likes metal.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then other people definitely do just fly under the radar. But yeah, so some of your ones that I was listening to, I really enjoyed the one that you did with Reece at Maydena, because that was pretty cool to kind of like hear his story of like all the cool stuff he did back in Whistler and everything. And then it's really cool when you can kind of connect with people that they didn't really know what they wanted to do. Like, you know, they were kind of like directionless in a way. And it was cool that he was just like, well, I really enjoy doing this. I'm having fun and there's work coming from it. And, you know, I might as well kind of just keep pushing that direction while he was still trying to go to uni and stuff like that. I can't remember whether he said he finished uni or did he drop out? I can't even remember.
Yeah. That was a while.
But that was like, that was really cool. Yeah.
November.
Yeah. So that was sick. Like, I don't know. So like, obviously, I don't listen to stacks of mountain bike stuff, but I definitely listened to that one and the one with Baxter, which I was just like, I was stoked on them. So that was cool. But other than that, I don't think there's been much else I've been listening to really. It's just been I find Spotify to be the worst sometimes for like you just end up hearing the same shit over and over and over again because
you
of
can. Yeah.
when you go onto like the homepage and it's like jump back in, or like, and
Yeah.
you're like, oh, this is easier than searching something, and you just like, oh no, I like this stuff. Oh, play what's on repeat. You're like,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's been really bad. So I think maybe I should start taking some advice from people, or just like, letting people link me some stuff to listen to. But I generally just find a good song and then go to like song radio, and then because it's the same as what I've been listening to, it's the same sort of stuff. So definitely need to mix it up a little bit. But yeah, so that's where I'm at. Yeah, with that. What are the rest of the questions that you normally ask? I'm trying to remember them off the top of my head. What have you been listening to? What have you got coming up?
No.
We done that one.
I can't even remember them now. What advice have you got for people looking to? What advice you got for people looking to do what you do? So,
okay.
I guess what about getting back into downhill racing?
Okay. Well, I'll give two pieces of advice here. One piece of advice for anyone that loves bikes as much as I do, like where it's just so invested in your life and you're just like, this is insane, is to move somewhere, if you can. Obviously, it's not possible for everyone, but moving somewhere where you are surrounded by the stuff you love. So, for me, before I even started trail building as a job, like I was working as working in landscape construction. And for me, that sucked because I was just working with people that talked about footy all the time, and like we just had nothing to connect on. And then living in the suburbs, and there wasn't really that community. And we've like, for people that haven't been to Queenstown, as said so many times, like we've got friends here. Annie that's staying here with us now, she was coming over and planning on doing a road trip around New Zealand, and she got here. She went for a ride, and her first day, she's like, I fucking love it here. Like I'm staying. Like this is insane. Yeah. Just because of the people that you're surrounded by. Like, you're going down the street, you go to the pub, and then there's like, just crazy trail bikes, enduro bikes, everything parked up at the pub. Like, and it's not one of those things that you have to worry about. Like when you go to a pub anywhere else where you're like, oh, I don't want to leave my bike outside. Like there's another 12, 15 people that have all done the same thing and left their bikes out the front because everyone's coming for an after ride beer. Like, it's just
normal.
Immersing yourself in what you love, so that you can just kind of do it all the time. And it's like, if you enjoy it so much, then make it your world. Like, why not? So, and yeah, I understand that that's not for everyone. Not everyone can just drop of the hat, go and do that. I got very lucky that I had the trail building experience, and then I managed to tee up a job before I got here. But at the same time, like there is quite a lot of work here in Queenstown, for like all kinds of different places. Like it's a huge tourism spot, and that tourism is starting to like bump back up now that COVID and everything's hit. There's everything to do with bikes, for jobs and stuff like that. But then there's construction jobs and everything as well. So you've got retail, you've got hospitality, you've got construction jobs. There's everything really here. So for you work from home on a laptop, fine. Why not be here? Like it's all possible. So that's my piece of advice for a lot of people is move somewhere where you can do what you love every day, rather than it becoming a hassle to try and do it. So I think that's a cool thing to, I guess, think about. Now the racing thing, getting back into racing. I did try and take some advice from something Baxter said in our podcast that we did together when we talked ages ago about racing.
Yeah.
And Baxter was like, yeah, on your first day of practice run or whatever, like on the Sunday morning, like go as fast as you possibly can. So you set the pace for the rest of the day, and then you've got that to build on. Yeah, Baxter, I tried that, and I had 3 crashes in my first practice run.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, sweet. I'll give it a crack. Like the day beforehand, I'd spent most of the day just like writing a section, pushing back up, and just like analyzing what lines were faster, because there was so many different lines on the track to like kind of go through, and it was super dusty, blown out, dry, but like managed to get all my lines sorted on that day. I went home at probably like 3 o'clock or something like that in the afternoon. And I was like, I don't really have any need to go back out there for the rest of the day. Like, I'm pretty exhausted already.
Yeah.
I've still got tomorrow. But then I went out the next day and the track was so much more blown out than the day before. And I just came into like the first techie section hot as, and just blew my front tire over the top of some roots and just like chest first into the ground. And I was fuming and I was thinking about Baxter the whole time. I was like, fuck you, man. That's shitty advice. I hate you. I feel like you should go and suss the track out first. And then I tried to pick the pace back up, going back down. And I kept crashing. I guess one good thing I found from it was I let pressure out of my tires straight away. But I'm also running insanely low tire pressures compared to a lot of people. Like, I'm going like 18, 19 PSI in the front and then like 22 in the rear. Because I've kind of have ran them harder, but I just didn't feel like it was gripping up the way I wanted it to. So that's been interesting, running a bit lower. But other than that, like, racing advice, I still can't even say that I'm really racing, like, because these ones that we're doing here around Queenstown are just like a local fun race on the tracks that we ride in the bike park all the time. So I still haven't even gone out and done something outside of Queenstown yet. So can't really give any advice on racing at the moment, maybe in the next podcast, but I can imagine that I'm probably going to get smoked when I go and race something that I can't ride the week before. That's probably going to happen. But I'm okay with that. Like, it's just been fun. So it's good to know that the pace is still there, and just kind of challenging yourself. Some of the advice I've been trying to give to some of my other friends is when I do go out in the bike park, and because here the bike park's so accessible, is I ride the stuff that I ride all the time, but I put all of my focus into all of the small things, which is what I used to do when I was living in Thredbo. So whether it was a day where Tom Mallet and I were like fucking around and learning how to manual, so we'd spend the whole day like just trying to manual between like one corner to the next corner or something over a whole straight. Like, it was just like that sort of stuff. Or focusing on my cornering speed. So like just working on like focusing on when I do my braking early and making sure I don't touch the brakes throughout the corner and hitting that exit speed. So trying to be aware of what you're actually doing on the bike, and cornering is a huge one that I try and work on so much, where I'm going around a corner. And sometimes, like, especially when you get lazy in the bike park and you're not being a racer, it's easy to just hit the brakes in the corner because you're like, oh, I came into that one a bit too fast, and then just dab the brakes and you don't think about it again. But, when you're trying to go fast, you need to think about doing hard braking early and then getting off the brakes and going through it. So my piece of advice for racing is focusing on your exit speed more than anything. So, it's all fun and games coming into a corner, coming into a section like wild and super fast. But if you hit that 90-degree berm at the bottom and you come to a standstill, then the person that backed off halfway down that chute is going to come out way ahead of you. So I work on that quite a lot, and like off camber sections and stuff like that. Like, just my braking is just a huge thing that I work on. So just making sure that my tires have grip at all times. And okay, sometimes in the videos you might have seen my tires don't have full grip, but definitely that's probably my advice is braking points is something that I work on really heavily, and line choice, all about exit speed. So that's what I'm constantly thinking about.
Underrated part of riding is braking.
100%. Yeah.
Something I'm trying to work on at the moment, which is hard because I love braking. It's really good for me.
Yeah. Just do it on the straight lines, not in the corners.
Yeah. 29ers stand up a lot more in the corners as well. So anytime you touch them in the corner, it's game over. So.
Oh, really? Like suspension just kind of locks up a bit, or
the wheels naturally want to stand up more because they're bigger. So
okay. Yeah.
That just stops them rolling.
Okay,
so it just goes and stands the wheels up.
Yeah, right. Okay.
So you got to brake less. You got to brake early, brake hard, and let them roll. They don't want to do all three at once.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Sick. Easy, man.
Yeah, that's sick. Oh, that was fun. I enjoyed that.
Me too.
Yeah,
I like catching up with you.
I think we talked about some cool stuff. Yeah, it was cool. Is there anything else that you can think of that you want to No, shout outs to the sponsors or anything like that, or like I don't know.
I do
Who
that
we
beforehand,
go?
man. I got the intro. I can
Oh,
do
that's
that.
right. Yeah.
I've
No,
already
that's
done
sick.
that.
All right, cool.
Yeah, man.
Cool.
I'm excited.
Well, we still got the Harry Potter closet from when you come over here.
Yep. Sick.
Yep. Are you going to plan a Queenstown trip at any time soon? Is it on the radar at all, or not?
I need to get my
Not really, because you've got
passport.
other stuff. What do you mean? You just don't have one, or never had one?
I've had one and it ran out.
Yeah.
And the ran out
that's right.
like
You've been to Japan and everything.
yeah, like it ran out literally like as COVID started. I'm like, well,
okay.
Can't be rooted.
No point now. Yeah.
But I do want to go to Queenstown and Rotorua.
Yeah.
And
yeah, sick.
The other trip I've got planned is to the one we can't talk about. So hopefully.
Yeah. I don't know why that hasn't been announced yet, because it feels like it's getting pretty close for people to try and actually plan things. I don't know. It's a bit weird. So I don't know the logistics of everything that's going on. I just build stuff, but not at that particular one. Maybe not. Anyway. Moving on from that topic.
But yeah, I would love to head over there and ride some sick bike parks. So maybe end of this year and start next year. But I also want to go to World Cup. So
yeah, it's pretty mental.
Lots of planning.
We're gonna. Yeah.
Lots of planning, little money. So
yeah, I think I'm going to go to Lenzerheide. I've just remembered after you talking about going to a World Cup. We're going to go to Lenzerheide and just go watch. I think it's Lenzerheide from memory, because it's like 2 weeks before we leave to come back here. So we're like, well, we might as well go.
Yeah.
So that'll be cool. And I don't know. We're kind of leaving it open to like after all this traveling's done, because if it does feel too chaotic over like the next 8 or 9 months or however long it's going to be of just being everywhere, would like to come over to Australia for like New Year's time and go to Maydena and do a trip down, Tassie, like 10 days.
Yeah, sick.
So that's kind of like on the radar as well. So if we end up down there and you decide to go to Tassie for a trip or whatever, or we tee something up with Simon, we're like, hey, Simon, can we do some cool stuff?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
because it's only
that would be sick.
It's literally a couple of hours away from my house. Like when I add it all up, it's not that hard.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's
sick.
actually maybe 4 hours total. I can get to.
That's rad.
Yeah, which is insane.
Sick. Is it still direct? Is it direct flight Adelaide to Hobart?
Yeah, Adelaide to Hobart. Yeah, so it takes me 30 minutes to get on the plane from here to the plane. I think it's like an hour and a half flight, and then an hour from Hobart to Maydena. Like it's nothing.
Yeah, sick.
Yeah,
that's
insane.
mean.
So go to Maydena.
Yeah, well, if we end up there, then definitely can. We'll just see how worn out we are from months of traveling.
Yeah,
but I know. But I might have a month off, and then I'll be like, oh yeah, it's time to go. But I don't know. It's so crazy when you like get back to Queenstown. You're like, oh, I forgot how much I miss this place, because it is rad. So we may just want to stay here and ride everything around here, but we'll see. Queenstown. I desperately want to come to Maydena and check out everything that's been going on. It's just a different style of riding to what they have here, so I'm keen to do that for sure.
Sick, easy man. Well,
sick, man.
Some dinner.
Yeah, good idea. I think I might do the same. It's definitely getting late over here as well.
Easy man. Thanks so much.
Right. Thanks so much for having us.
We'll speak soon, and I'll let you know when this is out.
Yes. Sounds good, dude. I'll chat to you soon.
Cheers, man. Bye.
Bye.
There we have it. That was the latest episode with Jai Motherwell. He is killing it at the moment, and I can't wait to see what's in the works for him this year, especially if he heads to Europe. As usual, thanks to our sponsors, FE Sports, Trek, NS Dynamics, Tailored Trails, Lead Out Sports, Franked, Dirt Surfers, Crush, and Fist. Go check out all their rad products and use Beyond the Tape 10, Beyond the Tape 15, or just Beyond the Tape 10 at checkout. See what happens. Might get a bit of a discount. If you want to support the podcast in other ways, make sure you jump over to the website, beyondthetape.com, grab some fresh merch, just getting some new stuff printed at the moment, and help support us do cool things. Make sure you spread the word as well. Tell your grandma, tell your dog, tell your bird, tell your mouse, tell whoever, and spread the word around. Leave some reviews on whatever podcast platform you're listening to. I don't care if they're bad or good. I think it helps either way. Anyway, thanks for that. Until next time, have a bunch of fun.